Hey everybody, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make this Raspberry Angel Baby Blanket. And for this project you're going to need a 5mm hook or size H hook, and I used 7 skeins of worsted weight yarn to make this Afghan. This is a yarn eater, so if you like those kinds of stitches, this is definitely one of those. And I used 6 skeins and a little bit of the 7th skein, but get that 7th skein just to be on the safe side. Each skein was 100 grams or 3.5 ounces, or in length it was 210 meters or 229 yards. You're also going to need a marker and a tapestry needle to hide your tails. The measurement of this Afghan was 41 inches or 104 centimeters. And the width was 36 inches or 91 centimeters. The gauge for this stitch, one Raspberry Angel stitch, was 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. So to do the Raspberry Angel stitch, it is done in multiples of 3. If you want to make the size Afghan that I made, I chained 138. So if you want to make it bigger or smaller, just know that the multiples of the stitch is 3. So chain in multiples of 3, and when you're ready, then let's start row 1. For row 1, you're going to begin in the 3rd chain from the hook. So count 1, 2, 3, and in this 3rd chain from the hook, you want to insert your hook and pull up a loop. Now we're going to also be using the following 2 stitches as well, all to make this one stitch. So yarn over and insert your hook in the next chain and pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. Now yarn over, go into the next chain, your 3rd chain, and you pull up a loop. You have 6 loops on your hook and you are in 3 stitches. You want to yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, and then chain 1. Now in this chain 1 space we just created, you want to put a single crochet, double crochet, and single crochet all worked in this space here. So we're going to begin by inserting our hook, pulling up a loop, creating our single crochet, then yarn over, insert your hook in that same stitch and make your double crochet, and then in that same stitch insert your hook, pull up a loop, and do your single crochet, and that's your first completed Raspberry Angel stitch. Now without skipping a stitch, you just want to insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop. Then you'll yarn over and go into the next chain and pull up a loop. Then yarn over, going into the 3rd and final chain and pull up a loop. 6 loops on your hook. So there's hair there. You're going to yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 1. And in that chain 1 space, we're going to be putting our single crochet, our double crochet, and our single crochet. And then again, without skipping any stitches, going into the very next stitch, you just want to insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop. 6 loops on your hook, pull through all 6, chain 1, and into the chain 1 space you'll put a single crochet, a double crochet, and a single crochet. Again, without skipping, go into the very next chain and insert your hook, and you'll continue this down your row, and I'll see you when you get to the end. Okay, when you've done your last stitch of your row, you should have 1 chain remaining. You want to double crochet into that very last stitch, and this is what it looks like. This very beginning, when you started in your 3rd chain from the hook, you have 2 chains here. That's essentially like your double crochet. You'll always have a double crochet on either side, or I should say a chain 1 and a double crochet on each side, but you have that border there. So for row 2, you want to chain 2, and this will be the repeat. So you'll chain 2 and you'll turn, and now looking at the back of your stitches here, you can see that in between, this was our chain 1 that we made, that after we did our bottom of our stitch, we chained 1 and we put our single crochet, double crochet, single crochet in that stitch. This is the same stitch we're going to be using to create these same stitches for this row. So I usually go on the side of the stitch because if you look, it's kind of leaning over one way. So I just let it keep leaning that way, and I kind of use this section of the chain one to create my stitch. So what you want to do is just insert your hook into that chain one space, pull up a loop, then you'll yarn over and insert your hook twice till you have your 6 loops on your hook again. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, then you'll chain 1 and you'll create the second part of the stitch. Into that chain 1 we just made, you'll put your single crochet, your double crochet, and your single crochet to complete the stitch for the second row. Then you'll move over again in that middle part, the middle chain 1, insert your hook, pull up a loop, then again you want to yarn over and insert your hook and grab up a loop twice, 6 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 1, and again you'll put your single crochet, your double crochet, and your single crochet. And you can see it's kind of on the side of the stitch. This was the previous row, and now the new stitch is here and it's off to the side slightly. So again, you want to continue, insert your hook into that chain 1 space, pull up a loop, then you'll yarn over and insert your hook twice to that space, 6 loop on your hook, chain 1, and then you'll do your single crochet, your double crochet, and your single crochet worked in that chain 1 space you just created. And you want to continue this for your row. So you want to go ahead and continue that and you can see also that the little bumps are starting to appear on the back of the stitch, which is created by this section when it gets pulled forward a little bit when you do your row. And you can see it's already started to do it on this one, so when you do it here on this side of your chain 1, then this one will slowly get pulled forward, and you'll just continue to go back and forth. So when you get done with your second row of this is the second row, yes, of the Raspberry Stitch Angel Stitch, you can see that you come to the end and there's only a chain space here. There's not really a raspberry stitch to work into on this row. On your second row, this is your last angel stitch of this row, so there's not another one to work in. All you have is the chain 2 space at the end. So you want to just put a double crochet in the top of that chain 2. So you want to do your angel stitches all the way till you get to your very last angel stitch, and then you'll want to do your double crochet in the chain 2 space, or double crochet, whichever one is there for that row. So don't add by accident another, and don't go down one row either. So when you have your double crochet at the end, you'll just chain 2, turn, and again you'll begin your raspberry stitch. And then again, this is the last one of the row, and then you'll put your double crochet in this very last space. And I want to show you that I have like a simple 2-row border on this Afghan, and so I'm going to go ahead and make my little sample piece a little bit bigger, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to turn this into, how to do the border of this Afghan. And real quick, I just want to show you an easy method that I was using to count my rows. What I used is let me get a little closer here for you. See how you have the bumps here, and then you have these clusters here? I use the clusters because you have a cluster every row. So, and it's just easier because it's more aligned here, so you'll count the clusters to count your row. So this would be, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just count up the clusters on your row, and then stop when you get after row 67. I just wanted to do a quick tip because I just remembered that somebody had asked me this question, and they were wanting to know whether this yarn should be in front or in back, and how I did it. And what I do is I usually stay in front the whole time, because the idea is that you want to push this part back. So you just want to use the stitch that's in front. So I'm always in front. Okay, so I've made my little sample piece here. Get it to the size you want. I stopped at row 68. But if you want it bigger, then keep going. And it should work out to where when you're ready to stop, just stop, and then I'll show you how to do your border. There's going to be 2 rounds of the border, and it's done right after you get done with your row and you're ready to start your border. You'll chain 2, just like you normally would, and then you'll turn. And this is the only time you're going to turn doing this border. It's this very first time. From now on, you won't be. So the very first stitch, this very first chain 2 stitch, we're going to be using it again, the same double crochet that you just chain 2 in. You want to go ahead and put another double crochet into that double crochet. This is going to be like half of our corner, and we're going to complete the corner when we come back. So now we're going to be doing what we did before by using the chain 1 spaces, only this time we're not going to make our clusters, which is the bottom part. We're just going to be doing this top part of the stitch, which is called the raspberry stitch. So you want to go into that same chain 1 space like you've been doing, but this time instead of making your cluster, you're just going to make a single crochet, and in that same stitch you'll make a double crochet. And then in the same stitch you'll make a single crochet. So in all your chain 1 spaces here that we were using to make our Raspberry Angel stitches, you're going to use them again, but this time you'll be putting a single crochet, double crochet, single crochet in those stitches. So go ahead and do that down your row, and I'll see you when you get done. Okay, I got to the end of my row, and at the end of the row where you put your double crochet in that top of the chain 1 stitch to end your row, you'll want to do that again, but now it's going to be a corner. So in that same stitch you just double crocheted in, you'll want to put another double crochet, then you'll chain 1, and then again in the same stitch you'll put 2 more double crochets, and this will create our corner stitch. And if you made the same size Afghan that I did, you should have 44 raspberry stitches going along the top side of your Afghan. Now we want to turn to the side, and now we're going to be using the cluster stitches that are on the sides here. So each one of these, you can see, kind of have these little holes here when the cluster. We're going to be using those to create our raspberry stitches for the side. So you want to go into that first one and do a single crochet, and then you'll do your double crochet, and then you'll do your single crochet to create your raspberry stitch. Then move over to the next cluster. I believe I'm also using the ones in between. Nope, just basically going under those stitches. So I'm going to move over to the next one, do a single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. Then I'll move over to my next one. This is my next cluster here, and do my single crochet, my double crochet, and my single crochet. So you want to go ahead and continue that all the way down your row, and this is what I'm calling the first side row. And when you get to the end, this very corner stitch, as corner as you can get it, put your corner stitches there, which consist of 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Those are the stitches for our corner. So I put 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and that'll complete our side and corner. Okay, it's been a while since I made this blanket, so I have to look at my pattern here and remind myself here. So we're going to be using these spaces to the side. So each one of these little clusters that we did on the first row, we did the clusters, and then the top part of the stitch, each cluster has these spaces in between. And we're going to be using those to create our raspberry stitches. We're going to keep doing raspberry stitches. So I'm going to move over to our very first hole here, and I'm going to put my single crochet, my double crochet, and my single crochet. And you should have, if you had 48 stitches up here at the top, you should have 48 stitches at the bottom. So I'm going to move over to the next stitch on this side, put my single crochet, my double crochet, and my single crochet. And keep doing this all the way along the bottom. Till you get to the corner. And then here in this very corner, not in the space, but in the actual corner stitch that you can get, you want to go ahead and put your 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets to create your corner in this space. So then now we're on the last side. Okay, again I'm using the cluster stitches. It's easier to see because you have the actual cluster here, but find that attachment. Stay consistent with whatever you use. So it looks like there's this nice little hole here that's secure on the facing this side for me, so I'm going to try to stay consistent on each one of those, and I'm going to do my raspberry stitch into the cluster stitches. So single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, move over to my next cluster, and then that side stitch here. Just stay consistent. And then the very last one. Then single crochet. I was just thinking here, this is the last one, which means my corner actually is here. So I'm counting here, I have 3, only 3 here. So I have 4 here, which means this one here should have been my corner. Remember I had the beginning chain 2, and then we did another double crochet here in this stitch. You can see them here. There's my chain, there's my double crochet. This is the stitch I used, and I just try to use it again for my raspberry. You want to put 2 double crochets here and then slip stitch in the top of the chain. The slip stitch will count as the chain 1. And it'll keep it consistent on that side too. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going into that same stitch here. I'm going to put my 2 double crochets, and then I'm going to slip stitch in the top of this chain, and that will create my corner on this side, and that will end the first row. Sorry, I mean round. We were doing rows up to this point. My brain's confused. Okay, so for the last round, the second round of the border, you want to chain 1, and now find that space, that little chain space. So we slip stitched into the top of the chain 2, so we're kind of like over a little bit more than usual. So we'll have to move the chain over. We want to find a space between the 2 double crochets on this side, the chain, and the double crochet on this side. So find that space in between there, and you want to fit 3 single crochets into this space. This is the first half of our corners, because our corners this row are going to consist of 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. So we're doing our first part of our corner here by putting our 3 double crochets. Now we're not going to turn, so we're just going to keep going. So now we're going to be doing our raspberry stitches, and the raspberry stitch from last row was consist of a single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and we'll always be using the farther single crochet to make our new raspberry stitches for this row. So you're going to skip the first single crochet, the middle double crochet, and in the single crochet stitch you'll want to make another raspberry stitch. So in that stitch you'll put a single crochet, a double crochet, and a single crochet. Did I skip one here? No. That's our chain. I just want to make sure that I don't skip anything here. No, I skipped over. Okay. So we're going to continue the single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and then that last of the 3 stitches here, our single crochet, we'll be putting our single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. This little corner here is kind of pulling, but all in all, this whole thing loosens up and this will not pull. This didn't for mine. Mine's just fine. But this is also thicker yarn, so I wonder if that's why it's pulling a little bit. So again, you want to continue this down your row. You skip your single crochet, double crochet, and in that next single crochet you will put single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. I'm thinking, because this is the last row and this is annoying me that it's pulling like it is, it didn't do it on my other one. Since it's the last row, if you feel like it's kind of like me, it's pulling a little bit, since it's the last row, it doesn't matter consistency wise, you just want it to be even. So just for that sake, I'm going to go ahead, so my single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, I'm going to go ahead and just single crochet in that first single crochet, just because it seems like there's something missing there. It's causing it to pull. There's not enough yarn there. And that's what happens when something curls, by the way. It's because there's not enough yarn there. And if it pulls, there's not enough yarn. If it's too much, like it's ruffly, then that means you've got too much yarn there. So you probably need to back out. So anyway, so it's up to you. If it's pulling for you, then you can do what I just did. If not, you can just leave it be. So anyway, I'm going to do like I am supposed to now, which is go into this third single crochet and put my raspberry stitch of single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. And then again, skip single crochet, skip the double crochet, and do your raspberry stitch. And you'll continue this for your row. Hope I didn't confuse you, but I like to fix things on the fly. That's part of being a designer. You always start with an idea in your mind, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and you have to change on the fly. I can't tell you how many times that I have to rip out something I'm designing just to fix it. Okay, now that looks pretty good. It's pretty flat. It just needed that little single crochet there afterwards. So do it if you need it. And now we're here in the corner again. 2 double crochets, our chain 1, 2 double crochets, and remember our new corner is going to consist of 3 single crochets. I'm curious how this corner is going to be. It's a full corner, so it may have enough stitches to do it. So 3 single crochets, chain 1, and then you'll put 3 more single crochets. So your new corner will be 3 single crochets, chain 1, 3 single crochets. And I don't feel like it's pulling yet, so that's good. Again, if you feel like you need to single crochet in one of the double crochets here, if it's pulling, then go for it. Okay, so we're going to continue to do that. This is my very first stitch here. So we have double crochet, which is part of the corner. Then we have our single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and I'm going to be using that single crochet again to create my raspberry stitch. It's pretty easy to do the row, this last row, because you're just doing your raspberry stitches again and that third stitch over. And then when you get to your corners again, your 2 double crochets and your chain 1 space here, you'll be putting your 3 single crochets, chain 1, and then I turn, and then I'll put my next 3 single crochets in that same corner space. Then again, these are your double crochet from your corner last row, and you have your single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and I'm going to go into my single crochet here and put my raspberry stitch. So far it's not pulling really, so well, it seems fine. So I don't really need to do a makeup stitch there. So I'm just going to keep on trucking. So again, I'm in my corner, my double crochets and my chain 1. So I'm going to put my 3 single crochets, chain 1. I have to pull those over a little bit. And then do my 3 single crochets on this side. And I'm going to skip over my 2 double crochets and then my single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and start my raspberry stitch in that stitch, and then continue this from my very last side. Okay, now I'll come up to my 2 double crochets of the corner from the previous row, and then there's my 3 single crochets that we started with. So in this space we're going to finish our corner. I'm going to put our 3 single crochets there. Then I'm going to slip stitch in that very first single crochet. And then you want to chain 1 and then cut your yarn, leaving yourself a little bit of space so that you can hide it with a tapestry needle. And that is, let me back up just a bit. And that's how you'll do the borders, the 2 borders on the end. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And again, I'm doing a lot of updating on my site, which means that I may not have anything new that tells you, that reminds you I'm around. Sign up for my newsletter. You can find the link underneath this video. And come check me out on social media. I'm on Facebook. I have 2 groups on Facebook. I also have Pinterest that I pin, and I also have other designers that pin on this. It's like a community. Maybe you can find some good ideas there. So be sure to check that out. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much.